think one of the biggest challenges around making collaboration work sometimes relates to the culture of the organization. I think there's often a spirit of we want to collaborate, we want to partner with other organizations, or we want to collaborate with other departments. But the reality is people don't quite know how to do that or don't necessarily feel comfortable with doing that. Within an organization, sometimes the organizational structure gets in the way. By working with another organization, sometimes people may not be sharing as much, or they may not truly be going into it with a win-win spirit. And so I think those are some of the barriers that need to be overcome.
So biggest challenges I find at the moment are, so we work in a very flexible environment. So one of the challenges to overcome is the remoteness at times of individuals. So we've got a lot of people who are on the road, a lot of people who are out with clients on a regular basis. So one of the key areas to focus on is to make sure that you are touching base with these guys regularly, that you're bringing them into an environment, whether and that doesn't have to be a physical environment, it's a knowledge share environment where you are continuing to express the goals of the organization, you're keeping people on point with those goals so that they've got that in mind all of the time, and you're allowing people to contribute so that they don't feel as if they're out of sight, out of mind.
Right now, if you look at organisations in general, we find ourselves in a state where we have way too many processes. We have an ability to respond way too slowly to things. Sometimes there's too many chiefs involved. Negativity creeps in. So it's really important to think about all of those things first and then think about how you move forward from there. So today we have 5 generations of people in the workplace. Those 5 generations all work in really different ways. So if we look at the baby boomers, they have a tendency to work by themselves, they're quite siloed, they really want to get their heads down and get the job done. If you look at Gen Zs though, they're really collaborative. They will move around to seek and find and share the information. So one of the biggest blockers or barriers to effective collaboration is how do you pull those 2 and the other 3 in between together to really work together? And then you need to think about the tools. The second thing to think about is how we are overburdened by information. So did you know that statistically we look at a device 150 times a day, seeking and sharing information? And the reason for that is, firstly, there is a whole plethora of information that we have access to, but worse than that, we don't know where to go to find it. So it's important that when we're thinking about collaboration, we think about streamlining and making it really, really easy. Finally, I would think about the biggest challenge as being things like disbursement. So where are people in the world? Do they sit beside you in the office? Do they sit in a different subsidiary? Do they sit in a different time zone? How do you really use technology to pull together geographic disbursement?
The biggest thing that holds people back in our experience anyway is expectations of the different bit of the companies they work for. So there's a divisional mentality often and a very hierarchical silo-based thinking, which it may not actually physically be there, but culturally it's there. And the very first thing we would do is just try and get people out of that environment and work together. And I've honestly never done a workshop with a client where people haven't said, wow, it's been really good to work with all these other people from different departments. It's been fantastic. Can we do that more, please? And then, within our own organisation, the challenges we face, partly it's geographical, actually. We are across different countries and stuff. And partly it's people are on the move and they're on the road a lot. So there's a lot of just checking in, making sure people are okay, using things like Hangout just to make sure that we can see each other as well. And we have a big emphasis on trust in our own organisation. We don't really have policies. We have a mindset, which is do the right thing by your customers, your people, and the numbers now and in the future. And that covers things like expenses through to like major project decisions and local implementation of the overall vision, for example.
I think, again, it's hierarchy is one of them. Second one is we are so used to working in silos, department, etc., that we are not looking beyond our job roles sometimes, or our departments. And what I think is really important is that in today's world, that doesn't work anymore. What we need to do is we need to look at the big picture and how everything works together. And you can't do that just by working in a silo, because that means that you're not being efficient, you're not having the big picture, and that's not the best customer experience either.
The biggest challenges from the perspective of a charity like Parkinsons UK is just time and culture change. So embedding new behaviours is what you need. You need new habits to form. You need there just to be a new way of doing things that is more collaborative, but the time to do it and taking people away from their day job when their day job is delivering services directly to people with Parkinson's, even though they know it's going to help in the long run, can be a bit of a challenge. So for us, we're all about making little steps, taking lean approaches, doing things in little quick ways with people who are keen to try things out, and then using them to socialise the ideas.